I got a fever, and the only prescription is... I said, the only prescription is...
My name is Trey and I play the bass guitar.
Nice. Alright, and who are some of your musical influences?
Probably Motley Crue or the Ramones.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Don't give up and just keep trying.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Getting to know a lot of new people and playing with the band was very fun, and probably just getting your songs done very quickly. That was kind of challenging, and learning all the songs.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah, I learned a couple of new things, like turn off your amp before unplugging, and put the cord through the strap, and those were a couple.
So what made you want to do music in the first place?
Just watching. Well, my mom really wanted me to do it first, and then I just started watching like a bunch of live videos and stuff, bands playing, and that just made me want to be like them.
Nice. Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
I wasn't too nervous.
All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're playing on this year?
Probably Heavy Metal by Sammy Hagar.
My name is Chaucer. I do vocals, guitar, and bass.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Some of my musical influences are Stevie Ray Vaughan, Peter Frampton, the Doobie Brothers, Three Dog Night, all the old rock like that.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
I would tell them to move around a lot because stage presence is a really good thing. And I've heard that you said that if you feel stupid, you're doing it correctly.
Alright, so what was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging would probably get in with the whole band because we've all practiced separately. So to get it all on timing and stuff, making sure everyone's in the right key. The most fun part is getting with other people in the band, honestly. Meeting new people that could be in your future band.
Yeah. So what made you want to play music in the first place?
What wanted me to play music was first time I was in the car listening to the radio when I was 4 years old, and Peter Frampton came on with "Show Me the Way," and I've loved that ever since.
So were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
So I was very nervous in the very beginning, because when I got on, I was like the only 8-year-old there with a bunch of teenagers, and it was Seven Nation Army. I overcome it just by practicing playing for people over and over.
Nice. And then, so what is your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Playing? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably Jailhouse Rock,
Nice.
because I get to help out the little ones.
My name is Jadyn, and I'm a singer.
So who are some of your musical influences?
At the camp, I mean, usually just the songs that we have list. I just listen to the set list over and over again, and that's how I pick up how I'm gonna do my style.
Right. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
New one, practice your songs and have fun. People worry way too much, and then they don't have fun, and then that ruins their performance. So have fun and still practice.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part of the camp?
Most challenging part was actually getting together in a sectional, because a ton of people are in a ton of different bands, so it's a hard time to actually like get together and practice as a band. You really have to practice by yourself and know your song inside and out. And the most fun is actually performing on stage, like just having that like moment with your band where you get to jam out. It's really fun.
Did you learn anything new or important during the course of the week?
You have to have confidence, a lot of it, especially on stage. Even if it's like fake and you know you're not doing that well, you gotta pretend like it's the best thing you've ever done.
What made you want to do music in the first place?
My brother was a singer for a really long time, and I just kind of grew up with it, so, and yeah, just been musical.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
Oh, definitely. Very nervous, especially my first year. This year I'm slightly better, but how to overcome it is really just pretending like I'm not. If you don't pretend like you're nervous. Also making friends. If you have like more friends and you feel like this sense of like, okay, we're all nervous, it's fine.
Yeah. Great. And then what is your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Surprisingly, old time rock and roll, because everyone's really fun on stage. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
I can destroy my base? I'm gonna do like a little peak count. Work it off. And then I'll do a little
I am Gavin Haslett, and I play the guitar.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Oh, a lot really. I mean, I go back and forth with genre. Grew up listening to a lot of Prince with like in the household, but then some modern blues and old like blues rock. So I guess Zeppelin and some smaller like progressive metal bands. But yeah.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Communicate. When you get there, you need to be able to know who you're working with, get to know how you're going to work with them, so you can practice, get things done, and get ultimately the best outcome.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging was definitely just practice in general. Like before we started, during the week when we were practicing, just like by ourselves, trying to like imagine like how other people are gonna play and how you're gonna do it together. That was pretty hard. You don't really know until you get there. The most fun part is the actual outcome of that is when you actually like get it done. You like it works out. You're like that feeling afterwards that you get.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah, definitely still on the front of communication. I mean, like this year I definitely made a lot more friends, and that assisted so much more than last year I was here. Just being able to talk to people about what we're supposed to do.
What made you want to play music in the first place?
I mean, growing up with music in the household, my mom and my dad both just kind of musically based people. But what got me playing guitar was Prince. I was like, the song Let's Go Crazy. I was like, oh, that guitar solo at the end is so cool. My life's meaning was to learn that song. So yeah, that was the big reason, to be honest.
Nice. Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous. First year I was here, I didn't say a word to anybody until maybe near the end. People usually talk to me first, which I wasn't reaching out. But after performing, I realized like this is like the severity of what was going on, like severity of communication and like actually talking to people, because when you talk to people and you are with your band, you actually like are with your bandmates, you get good songs, and it's a great feeling.
All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
My favorite song that I'm playing is Voodoo Child, but my favorite song that I'm singing is Wood by Mouse Chains.
Cool.
I'm Paige, and I sing.
So who are some of your musical influences?
I think personally, because like a lot of music that I do isn't rock music, so a lot of my biggest influences, people like Cave Town, Lizzie McAlpine, even like the Beatles are big, especially with songwriting. I think those are some of my biggest ones. Oh, and Hosier.
So what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
I think, honestly, talking to people, that can be really terrifying. I think that has been one of my biggest struggles with doing it. But yeah, like getting to know people is really big, and also like finding a way to get comfortable in yourself enough so you can perform with other people is really big.
the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
I think in most years, again, talking to people is always a little bit challenging. This year, I think learning my lyrics was really hard for some reason. I don't know why. The most fun part is actually meeting new people, but also just like performing. I think it's the best part of all of it. It's why we do it.
Did you learn anything new or important throughout the week?
Well, I learned my lyrics, so I did do that. But again, I think I've been working on, again, being comfortable in myself and enough to be on stage and feel confident, and that's one thing that I've been learning, especially this year.
What made you want to do music in the first place?
I grew up a ton around music. My dad plays guitar, and he's been in bands like all while I was growing up. And I guess, I don't know, I think music is a very wonderful thing, and it always means so much to me, and I think it's a great way to express yourself. And so, I don't know, when I was 12, I picked up ukulele, just taught myself, did it with guitar the next year, so that's sort of what that is.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
I'm always nervous every single year. First day, it's always the worst. I'm terrified. But I think it's gotten better every single year. But once I'm there and I'm with everybody and we're starting and we're working, I usually calm down and I'm like, oh, this is great. This is what I love doing. I have no reason to be nervous.
All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
Ooh, I think my actual favorite song to listen to, this is gonna sound dumb, but Don't Fear the Reaper. I think it's really good. But to sing, I think heavy metal or Hard to Handle. So.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul and I play bass.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Victor Wooten and pretty much any 80s hair metal band.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Definitely talk to more people because it makes it a lot easier to have stage presence when you know the people you're with.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging is talking to people because, in the beginning you're just really nervous. But the most fun is definitely performing.
Did you learn anything new or important throughout the week?
This week I learned 11 new songs, so that's something.
All right, and what makes you want to play music in the first place?
I've always been attracted to music, and me and my dad have the same music taste, so we listen to a lot of the same stuff in the house.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I'm always nervous when I do this camp, but you just kind of have to fake it till you make it.
All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
Definitely Voodoo Child. It's a really simple bass line, but it's super fun to play.
Thanks, Paul.
Cool.
What are the different
My name's Jackson and I play the drums.
Who are some of your musical influences?
I pretty much just listen to a bunch of the bands that made the songs I'm playing, and that kind of just helped me figure stuff out in the songs.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experienced student?
If you screw something up, act like you did perfectly, and the crowd will think you did that.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging part was finding an open room to practice in, and the best part is just performing on stage.
Did you learn anything new or important throughout the week?
I learned how to communicate with the band because as a drummer you really need to help cue people into different parts of the songs, so I think I got a lot better at that.
And what made you want to do music in the first place?
When I was younger, me and my dad would just listen to music in the car whenever we drove anywhere, and I think eventually I just decided that I wanted to create music.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I was really nervous in the beginning, but after I played the first song, it just all went away and I started to enjoy it.
Nice. All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're on this year?
Probably Don't Fear the Reaper.
Snapchat, and I know y'all don't have Facebook because that's an old person's thing. I have Facebook, so because we have so many people in very limited space.
Make sure you know your parts and the song is finalized.
Inside and out.
That is the biggest advice, because it's the worst thing. You're paying someone money to record something.
Sometimes hourly.
Hourly, yeah, it's hourly rates. And if you go there and you don't know your part, or you're iffy on a part, that's just more money out of your pocket.
What's your favorite song
That we just played? Me personally, the opening song, Haversham. What about you?
For this set, my favorite one was Misery Business because I haven't played that one forever, so it was just fun to do it. But out of the originals, it's probably the second to last one, Take the Fall. That one's fun.
So, how many hours a day do you guys practice?
As individuals?
Yeah.
On average, I'm playing guitar about 1 hour a day. Sometimes it's much more than that. Sometimes it's much less. So I think that's a safe number. But my recommendation is, no matter what, at least 5 minutes a day. At least just pick it up, do something, even if you don't want to.
My name is Savanna and I play drums.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Some of my musical influences are a range of variety from, I'd have to say, Green Day, Cydian, and Blink-182, because they're definitely a big part of who I want to be.
So what advice would you give to a new student for the rock and roll experience?
Some advice that I would give to a new rock and roll student if they wanted to become a musician is go into it with a lot of like excitement and just work really hard with your group and put in a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to get something down pat, especially like rock and roll high school.
Cool. So what was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging part of the camp was when me and my rock and roll high school group, we were kind of falling behind and things weren't working, so we had to tighten things up and work at it for a long time. We just had to go over and over and over again until we got it and tighten up and really just become one with each other.
And what was the most fun part?
The most fun part was hanging around with some of my new best friends, especially my favorite band.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Some things that I've learned is that I can't be scared to just get up there and show the world what I'm made of and do what I know that I was born to do.
What makes you want to do music in the first place?
So when I was little, my parents worked in radio, and I was always brought around music influencers like Green Day and a lot of people like Blink-182, and I just kind of learned, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to shoot for the stars, you know?
Great. All right, were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
I really was nervous in the beginning because at first I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work with these groups or not. Like, I don't know how they're going to react to me. And so at first I was nervous, but then once I met my band friends, they kind of helped me out and gave me tips and stretches and things to help me improve, and that really pulled me through.
Nice. All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
My favorite song that I'm playing this year is Brain Stew.
Having trouble trying to sleep. I'm counting sheep but running out. As time ticks by, still I try. No rest for cross-stops in my mind. Oh, here we go.
My name is Daniel and I play drums.
What are some of your musical influences?
Nothing much, I don't know.
Just kind of some of the rock camp songs?
Yeah.
Cool. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just do your best.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Probably talking to people. And
Come on, you had to have some fun.
probably playing all of the songs I had.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah,
You want to tell me what it is?
probably self-confidence.
And what made you want to do music in the first place?
It's because it started at a really young age, and so
Just been doing it your whole life? So were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
probably with all the self-confidence that I've been getting in.
Nice. All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Sharp Dressed Man.
Great. All right, thank you. Awesome.
Gets every girl crazy about a shark dressed man.
I'm Ashley Hume, and I play the piano, and I sing.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Just my rock playlist.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just keep trying.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Getting up on the stage for the first time was most challenging, and the most fun part was like just hanging out with people, messing around.
Did you learn anything new or important throughout the week?
Yeah, I learned a lot about like other instruments I don't know a lot about, and it's not perfection, it's progression.
Great. What made you want to do music in the first place?
Just been singing since I was little, just always wanted to do it.
So were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I watched other people. Yeah, I was nervous. But other people are so confident.
And then what's your favorite song that you're singing on this year?
Probably Boys of Summer.
I'm Davis and I drum.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Fellow bandmates that I've played with before, probably.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just try to have fun with it. That's probably the biggest thing.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging part was getting used to playing with like a full band, and the most fun part is just performing.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah, I learned how to perform with other people in a band.
So what makes you want to do music in the first place?
I've kind of always listened to like rock, and when looking for like a new hobby or whatever, I kind of just picked up drumming.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I'm kind of always nervous. I never really did overcome the nerves, but the key to it is just like not letting that get in the way, because I'm always nervous. It's just not letting that get in the way is the important part.
Great answer. All right, and what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Probably Wood. It's like one of my favorite songs, just in general. So playing it is a lot of fun.
Very cool. Thank you.
I'm Ethan, and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Ooh, my biggest one right now is John Petrucci. Another one is I'm playing a few Alice in Chains songs. I've been listening to a lot of Jerry Cantrell lately.
All All right, what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Don't be nervous. Just don't let it get over you and stuff.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging part was getting off stage after a song, because I love being on the stage with like my friends and stuff. So that's
And what was the most fun part?
the being on stage, really.
That's a great answer. All right, and did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I learned this last year, but I guess I have to relearn it. You know, I was still nervous when I got here, and I was like, oh, that's fine. You know, just I don't have to be nervous since I've done this and I know the people and stuff.
And so, how do you overcome those nerves?
Just rock and roll.
Just rock and roll. All right, and what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Probably Them Bones or Wood.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
My name is Brendan and I play bass.
And who are some of your musical influences?
Probably some of my friends that I've seen playing bass.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Try your best to have fun and don't let your nervousness take over you.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging part is probably trying to get over the fear of just being nervous, and most fun is just hearing all the songs that I get to play and watching other people have fun.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I learned that communication's really good when you're playing like that.
And what makes you want to play music in the first place?
Probably, again, like seeing all my friends playing bass and guitar and stuff.
So speaking about being nervous, did you find anything that helped you overcome the nerves?
I'm still really nervous about the stuff, but I guess just pretend like nobody's there.
Yep. All right, and then what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Probably Fire and Rock and Roll.
My name is Colby Miller, and I play the drums.
So who are some of your musical influences?
My brother plays the bass, and Mr. Sammy, my teacher.
Nice. So what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
That you need practice and stick it through. You know, don't lose faith in your song.
Mm-hmm. Great answer. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part of the camp?
The most challenging was working with my band, but it was also really fun to work with them.
Cool. All right, and did you learn anything new or important throughout the week?
Yeah, just how to work with my band and stuff like that, you know.
What makes you want to do music in the first place?
I've always loved drumming. Like, I saw this drum kit once and I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I see drummers all the time and I'm like, yes, that looks like fun. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
No, not really.
Nice. Great answer. Good for you. And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Back in Black. nothing else matters.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Colby.
My name is Chris, and I play the guitar.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Influences? It's a little cringy, but I guess my grandpa, because when I first started playing, he was like doing a little bit on the acoustic, and then I just walked up and was like, how do you play that? And then from there it just went on. And then I kind of like bands like AC/DC, Green Day, you know, stuff like that, just metal.
Cool. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Don't be like tense about it. It's not really that much pressure. You're here to have fun. You know, that's what you came here for. You practice these songs to play them for your parents, family, and friends and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, if you mess up, it's not it's not a big deal. So.
Great. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
Most challenging part of the camp definitely had to be. I would say like a lot of people that have just came in are like a little nervous about trying to like get in with, you know, the rest of us, and like they're always nervous that it's not going to come out good. At the end of the day, it's like you're here to have fun, and you don't need to stress about it, because if you work hard enough, you just practice at home, you practice while you're there, you know, you're going to do good. And I feel like the most fun part of it was, again, meeting those people, because like these are people that might do it again, and then be like the next generation of rock and roll experiencers. So nice. It's a lot of fun.
So did you learn anything new or important during the week?
New and important. Okay. So I learned to bear with people and having to work around some stuff that happens. You know, bad things are going to happen during a show or during a run. So yeah, I learned to just keep going, fix it, move through it. And then you said some new and important. What did you say? I guess some important things I learned was to hold the guitar strings so it doesn't feed back and cause like a sound wave explosion. So that's pretty important to know, I guess.
Great answer. So what made you want to do music in the first place?
So this kind of goes back to my grandfather. Like, if he was playing guitar, he was playing something that really like caught my attention, and I was like, wait, how do you play that? And then I got myself a junior guitar, and then I graduated from a junior guitar to like a full-size guitar in 2 days. And then after that, I had a lot of motivation from like my friends that were playing.
Okay, my name is Eric Davis, and I play the guitar.
So who are some of your musical influences?
I'm probably gonna go with like Jimi Hendrix and like Green Day, like that type of music, cause like their music is like really good.
Cool. Great answer. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Well, I mean, like, you make a mistake, I mean, it's okay, because it's not that big of a deal. Especially because, like, if you mess something up and then come out with, like, a face that you did it in other people's books, like, you nailed it. So, just have fun.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
probably the most challenging part of the camp for me was like Tuesday, because I thought that we were supposed to have our songs down, but I didn't really have them down. But like, yeah.
All right, and what was the most fun part for you?
The most fun is probably Thursday or Friday, because like pretty much all of the songs are down, so you just get to get up there and like rock out, and it's really fun.
All right, and what made you want to do music in the first place?
Well, I don't know. I guess I just had music at heart, because when I was like 2, when I was supposed to be getting ready for bed, I would like go and strum my dad's guitar. So I think I also took like inspiration from my dad, probably, because he plays guitar, and I just really thought guitar was interesting and cool. So.
Nice. All right, were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome those nerves?
Okay, so in the beginning, yes, I was super nervous. Like, it was crazy how nervous I was. But then it was somebody's last year, and they told me, and they had been doing this for a while, and they told me, try and tell yourself that nervousy is an excitement repeatedly, and then it can sometimes become excitement, which like really helped hone it in all the nerves, especially right before the concert.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right, and what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
I really like that Old Time Rock and Roll. I mean, honestly, I like all the songs I'm playing, but probably like Old Time Rock and Roll.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
My name's Mackie Brown and I play the guitar.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Well, I really like listening to AC/DC and Green Day, but most of all my grandma, because she bought me this guitar.
Very nice. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Have fun and no pressure.
Great. So what was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
Most challenging part was probably having to like work around people with and like play with the people, because it was kind of hard to like play without them, because we didn't have like the right beat and stuff, so it was kind of hard.
What was the most fun for you?
Probably getting to know people better.
Great. Good answer. And what made you want to play music in the first place?
I just liked listening to it, so I just kind of wanted to do it myself.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I was nervous in the beginning, and I overcame it because Mr. Eddie, he kind of helped me out a lot.
Great. All right, and what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Probably Brain Stew. I kind of like the beat.
Cool. Thank you, Mackie.
My mouth is dry. My face is numb. There's something spun out in my room, and now I'm on my own. Here we go.
Camila, and I am a vocalist.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Probably AC/DC, and probably Green Day. I really like listening to those, and I think that's all.
Cool. What advice would you give a new rock and roll experience student?
To have fun and try to make as much new friends as you can make, so they can help you if you need help, and just have fun.
Great. So what was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging was probably when we were like having to move around in the songs and to remember them, because I probably had a hard time with Jailhouse Rock.
And what was the most fun part for you?
The most fun part was making friends.
Nice. Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I learned to, when something is hard, like I remember that I was having a hard time with Jailhouse Rock, so I decided to practice during the week, and I learned that if I just practice, that it will be better and it will sound better.
Great. All right, and what made you want to do music in the first place?
I started singing when I was 4, and I really liked a lot of songs, so I decided what to start singing them. And then when once I knew my cousin was going to sing classes, I was in dance during that time, so I decided maybe I would ask my parents to start.
Great. All right, and were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome the nerves?
I was nervous, and I overcame nerves because I made friends that helped me feel comfortable, and I was nervous because I've never been really on stage, and it just helped me come on stage, and it really helped me.
Cool. And what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
Probably Traveling Band.
Cool. Thank you.
My name is Nick Robinson, and I play drums.
Who are some of your musical influences?
I think Neil Peart of Rush and what's his name? The drummer from Modest Mouse.
All right, what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Try your best to not be nervous. It can really kill you when you're performing.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
I think learning how to, not really learning, but playing with the whole band. It's a lot different than playing with, along to music. And the most fun was probably when you're playing with the band and it all works out. You get everything right.
So did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I don't think necessarily new or important, but I do think that it's good to know that you're getting better at playing with the band.
what makes you want to do music in the first place?
In 5th grade, my sister was taking guitar lessons at Ponce de Leon, and I saw the drum kit, and I asked my mom if I could take drum lessons. She said yes, and that's what it is.
Nice.
Now I'm playing drums.
Cool. So, were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
I was so nervous during my first rock camp. 10 seconds into the first song, my hands were so sweaty, I just slipped and I dropped the drumstick. And that was the worst experience of my life. And I overcome it by, I think I just get really confident, get really good at your song, and make sure you know what you're doing.
And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Thank you, Chaucer.
Cool. Thank you.
My name is Sarah, and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
A lot of like early 2000s pop punk emo kind of stuff, 90s grunge. It's a big list, but mostly Fall Out Boy, Green Day. They got Panic Disco kind of, but like or more 90s grunge stuff, just all that in general.
Very cool. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experienced student?
Know your music. Know your music, and so by knowing your music, you can have more confidence, you can jump around, you can, instead of focusing on your music, you can focus on how you look on stage and jumping around and dancing, stuff like that.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging part is perfecting the music, because you're always worried about how it's going to sound on stage, and I always am. So, that's about it.
And what's the most fun?
Being able to be on stage, and when you know your music, and being able to like just play it.
So, were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome the nerves?
Sometimes it depends on what song I'm playing, because other songs I can play well, other songs I might need more practice on. So it depends on what song I am and how nervous I am. If I am nervous, just practice the music, make sure you know it, you'll be fine.
Cool. And then what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
I have to say Wood. The energy is just amazing on that song.
All right, thank you.
Where to God again?
Brady Thompson, and I play the bass guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Probably AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne.
Cool. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experienced student?
Just to have fun and be yourself.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging was like first playing with other people that I never played with before. And the most fun was making new friends.
And what makes you want to play music?
Me and my sister first came to middle school. She joined the band, and I just thought it was cool, so I just started music.
Cool. Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome your nerves?
I was a little nervous in the beginning. I just made new friends and started talking to more people.
Cool. And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
My favorite song is probably Living After Midnight.
Thank you.
My name's Trey Pickle. I play the guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
James Hetfield of Metallica and Dave Mustaine of Megadeth.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just because you think you sound bad doesn't mean you do, and time can improve anything.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging part, probably just staying motivated to learn songs, and the best part is probably just when you finally learn a song, just play it almost perfectly with the band.
So what makes you want to play music?
Because I just enjoy listening to music, and if I can play it, I can have whatever music I want at any time.
Nice. Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome the nerves?
I was a bit nervous at the beginning. I just overcame by just practicing, so I know I wouldn't mess up, and then I had nothing to be nervous about.
And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Paradise City.
Thank you, Trey.
I'm Rylei and I play drums.
Who are some of your musical influences?
My dad, the drummer from the band Gyro Aksha. There's a lot more, just those two really stick out.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Practice, I guess.
What's the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what's the most fun?
Challenging is when I got my songs. I didn't really know how to play them that well. But the actual experience with the fun part, like playing it, it's pretty cool.
Great.
I've been driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
That I need to focus on my practice more.
And what makes you want to play music?
It's cool. Playing's fun.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
To be honest, I'm still really nervous, but just realizing that like I said to count makes it a lot easier.
Great answer. And what is your favorite song that you're playing this year?
I can't decide. I like them all.
Great. Thank you.
I've been driving all night, my hands are wet on the wheel. There's a voice in my head that drives my heel. It's my baby calling saying I need you here. And it's 4:30 and I'm shifting gears.
My name's Christian and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Musical influences? I could say, David Gilmour, Jimi Hendrix. I'm gonna say the guitarist from Pearl Jam. I remember his name, but I don't at the same time, so I'm just gonna say that too.
What advice would you give a new rock and roll experience student?
Oh, practice. Practice some more, actually. And other than just practice, work with your bandmates and be sure to have fun while doing it too. Having fun's important.
Great answer. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Most challenging? Probably getting in sync with my other band members, but at the same time, working with other band members has been the most fun part. It opens up music. I went from a bedroom guitarist to this. It's really changed how I look at everything.
Great.
Music related.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Oh my god, yeah. Not only about learning guitar, but also just about the musical experience in general. Just what it's like to be a musician playing. I just look at music differently now, and playing it. I have such a renewed passion for it.
Great answer. Alright, and what made you want to play music in the first place?
To be honest, one day I looked up the Wikipedia page for electric guitars because I wanted to know how they were made. And I thought they were cool, so I got one. And that was basically it. I just started playing because I said might as well. It's been more like, less of a musical thing, more like a toy-like thing for me for a long time. Just like a game. Get better at it.
Interesting. Alright, and were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
Oh yeah. Just playing in front of, I've never played in front of people before, been an adventure guitarist, but just getting up on stage, you realize it's not that big of a deal. Nobody's judging you. And at the end, it works out, and you're able to do it, and it feels great. Great. There's no better feeling.
Alright, and what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Favorite song? You know, probably Ace of Spades, but I want to say Rock and Roll High School, because we just worked so hard on that one. Even if it's not the best song, it's a song that I've put a lot of passion into.
Awesome. Thank you, Christian.
My name is Isabella and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Probably like Metallica and like Deftones and
Nice, great answer. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
just like listen to what people have to say. Like if they give you advice, don't just like shrug it off. Like just kind of take it and listen to it.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
I think the most challenging part was when I got my song, because it kind of caught me off guard. But I think the most fun part was just being able to like go on stage and like play them.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I mean, I guess I learned that like working with people is important, and like you have to kind of just work through it if you don't get along with people and stuff like that.
And what makes you want to play music?
I don't know, I was interested in it, and then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, oh, I want to do that, and then I did it.
Great. Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome your nerves?
I was really nervous, but I just got up there and it eventually just kind of faded away because I realized it wasn't that bad.
And what's your favorite song that you're playing on this year?
I guess I'd have to say I Hate Myself for Loving You just because it's so fun.
Awesome, thank you.
My name's Coleman Frank, and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Black Sabbath, Venom, and Hellhammer.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Have fun and enjoy music.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The challenging part was probably sounding good with the whole entire band. The fun part was just playing.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I learned a lot about playing with others, and that was pretty important, knowing.
What made you want to play music in the first place?
Probably just starting to listen to more music. That was it, pretty much.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
Yeah, I was nervous. I just played, and it went away.
Nice. And what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
Atomic Punk.
Cool. Thank you.
Sam Jeffries, and I play the drums.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Definitely Danny Carey from Tool, Joey Jordison, Jay Weinberg from Slipknot, Neil Peart from Rush. Let's see, I'm not gonna name the whole list, but those are a few of the big ones.
What advice would you give a new rock and roll experienced student?
Definitely learn your parts before camp, because I see a lot of kids, they're up there, they know the part, but it looks like they don't know the part. They're just kind of in the corner, I guess.
What was the most, sorry, keep going?
That's it.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
The most challenging part is, personally, I think it's just being in your head, when you're learning your parts, or when you're up on stage. And just getting over that, I think that's when it turns from challenging to a more fun aspect.
Cool. Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Talk with your bandmates, see how comfortable they are in the song. So you can just vibe when you play the song, and it's not doing your homework, I guess.
Cool. And what makes you want to do music in the first place?
So it was about, I'm gonna say 10 or 12 years old, around that span of time. My dad got me a drum set from a thrift store. And it was it wasn't bad, but it was just, he gave it to me and he was like, okay, go do your thing. And he showed me Slipknot, he showed me Tool, he showed me a lot of old bands. It was really my dad getting me into it.
Cool. Were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
I was a little nervous in the beginning, but once I started playing with my bandmates, and it kind of just dissolved away. Especially when you play it over and over again, it just becomes repetition, and that's how you really start to feel it.
Nice. And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Definitely Fire by Jimi Hendrix, and that goes into rock and roll. It's it's a really nice energy.
Nice, thank you.
My name is Wayne Youngblood, and I played electric guitar and acoustic guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
I don't really have any influencers, but my dad was the one that influenced me.
All right, what advice would you give to a new rock and roll experienced student?
I would just say that that you should have some confidence when playing your music. Once you build up and practice your music so many times, just try to have fun and don't be so mad after the performance even though you messed up, because it's just one mistake. What if no one notices? Yeah.
Great. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part of the camp?
So the most challenging part was that the first time presenting our music to the whole rock and roll people, the rock camp, our bandmates, and the easiest was by the end of the week, once we I learned almost all of the songs, and that was the easiest part.
Nice. Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yes, I learned a lot about how to communicate and look at people and try to relax during a performance.
Great. And what makes you want to play music in the first place?
Well, I first started on concert band, like playing the flute, and then I started playing the guitar once my dad influenced me.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
I overcome them by just like once we did so many reps on the stage, it just eased it through the week.
Nice. And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Boys of Summer by the Ataris.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
My name is Kenadie Griffin, and I'm a vocalist.
So who are some of your musical influences?
I don't know. I don't really listen to rock, so if I had to say, like, musical influence, like, in general, it would be, like, Taylor Swift, I guess.
What advice would you give a new rock and roll experience student?
Just have fun, and don't be afraid to let go.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part of the camp?
Singing and like getting the band together was really hard because it just was different than the audio recording. And then the most fun part was probably like once you got it all together and then you got to actually like play and make music and like do that. That was the funnest part.
Nice. Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
I learned how to count music. Yeah.
Great. And what makes you want to play music in the first place?
I just like performing and being on a stage with a bunch of people and like seeing other people's reactions is what I like. Yeah.
Nice. Were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
I was very nervous. I think it was just being more comfortable with my surroundings made me overcome my nervousness.
Nice. And what's your favorite song that you're doing this year?
My favorite song is Helter Skelter because I get to really jump around and like, yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jude Hall, and I play the guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Maybe like Neutral Milk Hotel or Car Seat Headrest.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just have fun.
What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Most challenging part was practicing my songs, even when I heard them like a million times, and it got like a little bit boring because I played them so many times. And yeah, and then what was the other question?
The most fun part for you?
Okay, most fun part was probably like rehearsing.
Cool. Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah, I learned what it's like to be in a band. Not what you think. It's fun though. But,
What makes you want to play music?
just like entertaining and fun.
Great. Were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how do you overcome your nerves?
I don't think that they're just like, I mean, you're gonna have to rehearse eventually, so, and when you do it, it's not that bad. And after you do it for the first time, I feel like the second time it isn't nearly as bad. And I guess you just gotta do it.
Alright. And what is your favorite song that you're playing on this year?
My favorite song I've played in the rock camp is probably Living After Midnight.
Nice. Thank you.
My name is Christian and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Chuck Berry and the Rolling Stones.
What advice would you give a new rock and roll experience student?
Keep practicing and don't give up, because when you're playing guitar your fingers hurt a lot at the beginning.
Alright, what was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun?
The most challenging was probably blending with the other bandmates and trying to make it sound like we're all on the same page with each other. And the most fun part was when we finally got past that. It sounded great.
Very cool. Alright, did you learn anything new or important during the week?
You have to communicate with each other to have a successful performance.
Alright, and what makes you want to play music?
I always, when I am like bored or I want something to do, I always go and play my guitar, and it never got boring for me or anything. So I always want to play music because I hear other people playing, and I know that if I keep doing it, eventually I'll be as good as them.
Sure. Were you nervous in the beginning? And if so, how did you overcome your nerves?
I was nervous in the beginning, but when I got on stage a few times, I overcame the nerves.
And what's your favorite song that you're playing this year?
Smoke on the Water.
Nice. Thank you.
I am Alessandro Recco. I go by Sandro. I do the vocal cords. I sing.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Musical influences. I really like early jazz, early 1900s jazz. Just everyone from that era.
Cool. What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
To a new rock and roll experience student is to just not care, but to have more fun. Stop focusing so intensely on it being perfect and exactly what the person in the song might be doing. Just try and have fun with it with yourself and your bandmates.
Great answer. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Most challenging was memorizing all of the words in a very short amount of time because I procrastinated, and the most fun part was having fun on stage with my bandmates.
you learn anything new or important during the week?
Again, to not take things so seriously, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and you just have fun.
What makes you want to play music?
I just enjoy doing it. I mean, it's comforting, I think, because I grew up with musicians in the household my whole life. It's just very comforting.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome the nerves?
I wasn't very nervous, but I think one of the major things was just not knowing the lyrics, and you just kind of have to have confidence with whatever you do. Like, if you don't know the lyrics, then just be like, you just have to make them up and with confidence, so the band can still keep going on.
Nice. And what's your favorite song that you're singing on this year?
Destroyer.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Watching ya, loving ya, paranoia, the destroyer. Paranoia, the destroyer. Well, I fell asleep now. Oh, feeling kind of queer. Lola looked at me and said, "Oh, you look so weird." She said, "Man, there's really something wrong with you. One day you're gonna self-destruct. You're up, you're down."
I'm Christopher, whatever you want to call me, and I play guitar.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Probably mainly Jimi Hendrix. The way he plays, just I try to emulate that.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student?
Just have fun with it. We're here to play music. We're here to enjoy ourselves. This isn't a competition. This isn't something you gotta really worry about.
Nice. What was the most challenging part of the camp for you, and what was the most fun part?
Probably the most challenging thing was just giving up control to some of your other bandmates because they know their instruments and you just need to make sure you let them do their thing. And then the most fun part is just playing with them on stage when everything works together perfectly. It just sounds good.
Nice.
You don't care for me, I don't care for that. Got a new food, hot, I like it like that. I got only wanna burn in desire. Let me stand next to your fire.
Did you learn anything new or important during the week?
Yeah, I learned a few guitar techniques. You mainly just learn that you can't take everything seriously.
And what makes you want to play music?
It's just a comforting thing. I've always listened to music, and so I thought might as well have my own way to express myself with it.
Were you nervous in the beginning, and if so, how do you overcome your nerves?
I mean, everyone's nervous in the beginning. During my first year, I was so scared, but once you get up on stage, it just all kind of goes away, and you just focus on the music, and everything just feels right.
And what's your favorite song that you're playing on this year?
Probably Fire, Rock, and Roll, just because it's those two songs together, and we have a fun riff-off part.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I played the drums.
Do you have any musical influences?
Not, I listen to everything.
What advice would you give to a new rock and roll experience student? No advice at all?
No.